After almost 200 hours in Pokopia, I thought it was about time to maybe do a quick tour of all the different areas in my single player save. It's actually closer to 300 hours, but I have to subtract 70 of those because that's about how long it took to record my 30-day series that I just wrapped up. So I'm actually at about 285, and for good measure, I'm just calling it 200 give or take because I've also played around on other Cloud Islands and things like that. Be that as it may, 200 hours feels like a lot. And you'll see pretty soon here that I have not spent the time wisely. Listen, I know this looks kind of pathetic. Withered Wastelands looks very similar to it did the day I got here, but I do have a lot of cool things to show you, and I want to go over some of the plans I have for the future of my single-player save file as well. So don't be alarmed by the lack of progress you're seeing. I think there's still a lot of inspiration here, starting with the house that I actually showed off in a previous video that I built. This is like the first actual house that I made for myself, and yeah, I haven't really changed it very much, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing right now, but I just want to show you it's still here, and what I have done, I think since that video, is set up a berry farm right behind the house. If you have been over here in the regular game, you know that there was some trees here, but I think they were all the same tree. So I went ahead and printed out new trees, all the different types I didn't have here, and made this my main tree farm. Ultimately, my goal with all of the different areas in single player is to kind of revitalize them, bring them back to what I assume is their former glory. And I've been making, my own little tweaks along the way. This was one of the first things I actually built out of blocks over here. It's just a box in the mountain so I could house some Pokemon. I didn't even have windows at the time I built this. And yeah, over here is just some other fenced in housing for a whole bunch of different Pokemon that I think have since moved around a lot. There's not too many left. But one thing I noticed about Pokopia, when I first started playing, was that there's paths everywhere, and there's obviously infrastructure that was supposed to look like it used to be something. And now it's kind of desolate. The planet's been empty for a long time, and it's been overtaken by nature, right? So I wanted to see what it would look like prior to that, and a lot of that is up to your imagination. So that's been kind of my goal with all of these areas, and you'll see I kind of redid the paths. I haven't finished putting borders around them because I'm thinking about adding to them a little bit. Right here, for example, I've been thinking about putting some different prefab buildings, stuff like that. But what I used this area for initially was, of course, spawning my first Pokemon, and I haven't really gotten it out of this mode yet. This is the first area you start actually playing around with when you get the game, and I never really actually took down some of the first habitats. I just kept spawning different Pokemon. Anyway, there's not a whole lot to show you over here or even through that little canyon over there. If you've seen the game before, I've done nothing over there. What I want to show you is where I have put in a little more elbow grease to Withered Wastelands, and that is through here. I opened this up a while back during the story, and I actually built my first really big automated kind of area over here. And yes, I am stopping to collect fossils because I'm missing literally one more, and then I'll have all of them. Over in this corner, I have a lumber yard, and I did show this off in another video. So again, I'm not going to go through each individual house or anything because that's already on the channel, but this is where I've kind of automated a little bit the processing of logs. Haxorus is the only Pokemon that drops these logs, and then other Pokemon are supposed to come in here and actually turn them into lumber. I just haven't arranged it very well, and I haven't bothered to kind of fix it. So what I have been doing is just kind of coming here, grabbing logs once in a while, and then just giving them to the folks who, process them. So I have lumber when I need it, but it's just not a perfect setup. And I know there's ways to optimize it, and I've been lazy. Overall, I really do like this area back here, though. I think it has a lot of opportunities for an extra bit of village back here. So I have a whole bunch of houses already, and I'm excited to kind of get the paths going and have more opportunities to build more things. I'm really trying to decide what to put right here. I think this is a really good spot. I know it has a kind of a cliff hanging over it, which I don't want to destroy. So I don't know if you have any suggestions for what could go here, given how you've seen me build so far. Hey, feel free to leave them in the comments. All right, so we're starting the tour pretty underwhelming, but each biome we go to is going to get significantly more interesting. So let's head to the Bleak Beach next. But before we do, a quick word from our sponsor. Oh, sorry, I didn't see there. Oh, this? Well, this is my new Manta Sleep mask, courtesy of today's sponsor, Manta Sleep. By the way, I actually didn't see you there. I wasn't lying before, and that's because Manta Sleep masks block out 100% of the light in my room, including these giant ones I have in front of me. Seriously though, I love these things, and ever since I started using them, I'm sleeping a lot better, and that's 100% to do with how they're designed. Their masks feature these eye cups, which are really nice because it keeps the material from pressing against your eyelids, which is something I've personally found really frustrating about sleep masks in the past. but these are great. They're fully adjustable and super comfortable. They have a variety of products too. For example, if you're the kind of person who likes listening to a podcast or an audiobook before bed, you can pick up the Manta Sound Sleep Mask, which is built-in Bluetooth speakers. And trust me, the speakers are worth it because reading in this thing is a huge pain. So thank you to Manta Sleep for sponsoring today's video. If you go to mantasleep.com, link below, and use code CROSSINGMINUTE, you can get 10% off your order. This is where I live, and I have done a little bit of work here over on this street to have all these different houses set up. They're all prefabs, and it was kind of cool because there are prefabs that look just like this in the PC, so I just went ahead and added more of them. But with some, I had to make some tweaks because the prefabs from the PC were like slightly different than the ones that were already here. So to continue staying true to how I imagine this area is supposed to look, I went ahead and built the prefabs, and then I just added a section to them so they were the same size as the existing buildings. And now I have this whole row of houses that is, underutilized right now. Not a ton of Pokemon living here, but it's kind of nice because as I start moving Pokemon into different biomes, I have plenty of places to put them. I think Bleak Beach is probably the biome I have like the most housing in, if not the second most. You'll see why later on. But yeah, there's still a ton of opportunity to kind of have Pokemon live here. And I think the most time I've spent in Bleak Beach, besides, that area over there, just as I was playing through the story and stuff, it was rebuilding the paths and bridges. So I have a whole bunch of infrastructure built. It's really easy to get around now, which does make it even easier to kind of build more prefab buildings with your Pokemon because they can actually walk. But we'll start with the underwhelming side. So this is where all these different Pokemon live from the beginning of the game, where I was like spawning them in. Because once you get to a new area, every single time it's like, hey, you have this new stuff available to you, so you can spawn in a whole bunch of Pokemon. So I did. I have a bunch of them still kind of like living here, or at least their old habitats are still here. And I've yet to kind of move them around. This house was here and I tried to rebuild it, but then I also tried to put power lines in front of it because this gray block was here. It's like supposedly power lines used to exist here, but it caused me to kind of mess with the roof in a way that doesn't look good. And there used to be an awning here. I got confused trying to rebuild this house. I think I just got to get rid of the power lines to fix it. And that is one of my plans with Bleak Beach, is to eventually hide all the power. I thought they looked cool at first, but as I've been trying to build and like actually refine the area, they've just kind of gotten in the way. I do think I'm one of the rare people, I think, that actually thinks the power lines are kind of cool, but they got to be used appropriately. Otherwise, it's just kind of annoying. Over here was one of the first times I just tried to take a liberty and add something to it. So I added a bridge that goes from here and stretches across, which created this really narrow canal. And at first I thought, yeah, this is kind of how it's supposed to look. But once I started using it day to day, it just got worse and worse. It just didn't look good. Nothing matched up. And then over here, I was confused because right here is a road that looked like it was here once and was destroyed. So I made this road connect, and then things started to make a little more sense. On Bleak Beach, I'd say this is where I've done like the most work. I've spent the most time. So I made this bridge. I kind of had to raise it up in a very odd way. I tried to make it look good. I think it looks okay. And I have this like row housing here. And this was inspired by a picture I saw on social media. I think a lot of people saw it, where somebody made like a big row house community in Bleak Beach that looked very similar to this, but larger. I made like a miniature version of it, and I like how it came out. I kind of used their, post as inspiration, and there's a few things I might tweak about it. For example, the roof I made flat because I didn't want it to be too tall, and every time I look at it, I'm like, I kind of wish I made it a little taller. So I may bring the roof up 1 or 2 blocks, but overall, I think it looks pretty good. And then the Poliwag line lives in here. And, this was, again, just kind of like trying to fill the house with stuff that they enjoyed. And I think it, turned out fine. The Greninja line lives here. And yeah, again, resort furniture, humidity, they're all sleeping. They're all pretty happy. All the way in that corner is like this awesome cabana area. I really like it. This is another thing I eventually want to rebuild. But again, no work has really been done just yet. I know a lot of people have rebuilt the SSN as well. I have not gone down this route. I don't know what I want to do. I think it would be easy. It's not easy in terms of like mechanically speaking, like it would be easy to do, but it would be very time consuming as well. I've seen people dig this thing out to try and repair all the damage on the underside of the hull. I don't know if I want to do that, but there are a ton of housing opportunities in this ship, and I probably am going to want to take advantage of this because I have a lot of Pokemon without homes right now. And then finally, this spot in the corner is so similar to Withered Wastelands. I'm considering just kind of doing the same thing I'm doing over there, where I just build some houses and house some Pokemon back here. I think this is great for if you want Pokemon living on Bleak Beach, but they're not like water types, so you don't necessarily want them living right next to the ocean. There's a lot of mountains too. There's a lot of little areas that if you wanted to, you could terraform them and you could do really, really cool stuff. Like similar to Rocky Ridges, there's just a whole bunch of stuff over here that's probably going to go untouched for a lot of people because, like, look at all this. Look at all this space for activities. Speaking of Rocky Ridges, let's go there next. I recently finished a decently sized project here, so I'll show you that real quick. So right now I live on top of this hill here, and I just gave myself the bare minimum for a house just to kind of like get a spawn point where I wanted it. And my plan is to build housing up here. I have an elevator I'm going to show you. I'm thinking of having it come all the way up to the surface, and it's going to, you know, be where Pokemon can come and go to get up and down really easy and like have a bunch of places to live. This is just kind of prime real estate. This is the last bit of grass in the mountains before you get to just the fields of ash desert, which I'm not going to touch. I know some people kind of like overhaul this, but I'm not. I'm excited to show you all this though. So typically I just jump down from there and I go to the Pokemon Center right here, but all the stuff I've done recently has to do with just the main areas of the Rocky Ridges, and I started with fixing up the paths. I wanted to make some nice paths connecting everything together, and then I also fixed up all the train tracks. I finally got this whole circuit connected, which I should have done a lot sooner, honestly. But yeah, so the train circuit runs around the entire place, and even in the mines, I did a little bit of work just trying to clean this up a little bit. I put cobblestone underneath all the tracks, and I've gone in and just kind of like made the tunnel a more straight line. This was kind of like jutting out into a few different directions before. And it seemed like it was supposed to be straightened out, but maybe an earthquake messed it up. I don't know. So I kind of fixed that. And then this is kind of where I stop doing my work, right? It starts to look like a cave. I don't need to be doing much to a cave. So I put more cobblestone under the tracks and left it at that. We'll go back in there at the end of the Rocky Ridges section. But first, let me show you up here where I've put some more housing down for different Pokemon. So right now, all of the housing you're seeing, none of it is permanent in the sense of the residents who live there. I'm still figuring that out, but the houses themselves I intend on keeping here. So just kind of collections of Pokemon living in different places just to try and like get them housed and happy. And then down there, I need to like fix up that whole kind of like outdoor dining kind of area. Looks like it's supposed to be a place of business down here, just a few different businesses. And it looks really nice. I actually like this concept a lot. And I want to fix this up properly. I have not given it the love it deserves. So I did do more work over here than just these paths. This biome I've actually put in a lot of time. Let's start by going in here. This is the elevator I was telling you about. But first I did do a little bit of work in here so far just to kind of like, again, clean it up a bit. So we have Chef Dente's kind of kitchen set up and there's a table and chairs. Still going to work in here to make it even nicer. Let's go up this elevator real quick, where I have done some of that work. So it's just one floor right now, and there is this kind of open area, and then that was open before, and then on this side, this didn't exist. I've been trying to just build some housing into this mountain. On this side, I put the Scorbunny line of Pokemon, and I gave them a whole bunch of stuff that I feel like they should enjoy, and I think they're pretty happy right now. I got some lighting here for them, fires, you know, lots for them to kind of like play with and be happy about. And then over here, I thought because I want like the symmetry of it all, I extended this and put the Charcadet line in here and gave them even more fire and really high quality luxury furniture because the two evolutions in this line really appreciate it. And I like this room a lot. I really love how this room came out. But the coolest part about it is that it started to poke out of the mountain on this side. And as you can see, I gave them a balcony that overlooks the farm, which I have kind of rebuilt and tried to make functional. And I love it. I love it from the inside especially. The outside could use a little sprucing up, but it's not too bad. I threw some banners on there and it's, you know, got a little attached patio. They hang out on here a lot, by the way. I catch them on here all the time. And then on this side, I got all of this automation going, the second automation I did, for bricks. And this one actually works really well. If you open this up, there's always clay in here because this line of Pokemon actually gathers and burns. So the Colossal line, they're always either like making bricks or gathering up clay to make more bricks. It's really awesome because I put the Pokemon in here who drop clay as well. I love how it came out. I did this on stream and it was really fun to kind of put together and decorate. and it works. This is actually like an automated area that pretty much works. Last thing I want to show you in Rocky Ridges before we move on will be via a minecart ride. I think fixing up the museum in the Rocky Ridges is kind of a rite of passage. If you are going to be like trying to revitalize your Pokopia save, then this is where you start. And as you can see, I have more work to do. The side room I've kind of neglected because it for some reason this room just overwhelms me. I don't know why. It's not that big of a deal. But you come down this hallway, and I have started to actually do the work. So I replaced a lot of the walls and floors, and over here, I think the radio station needs a little bit of sprucing up, but I like it a lot. I think it's like a really cool thing that they added that was mostly intact. Like the first time you see it, you're like, oh, this is like a perfectly fine room. And then I started to take some liberties with like the actual decorating. So all of the big fossil Pokemon, I don't want the fossil Pokemon themselves living here, that's just temporary, but all of the big fossils that you can like craft up, I want to put on this floor here. We got the banners, and then overlooking it is a balcony up there, and I want to show you that too. Did this on stream and found out something really, really, really cool. These lights are probably the most versatile lights in the entire game. They don't emit too much light, but they have a really nice glow to them, and these are actually the lights that you can put on walls or in the floor, the surface lights or whatever they're called. And all I did was hang them by a wire, and they just look like these modern like pendants. And I hung them down over these different fossils. And they look awesome. You can steal that. If you never tried something like that before, please. These lights are, I'm going to show you what I mean by versatile. Look at this. They will go in the wall on the side, they will go in the floor, and they will go on ceilings. I don't think there's too many lights that do this. I've tried doing stuff like this with other lights, and this one actually like cooperates with you. So hanging them from a wire worked really, really well. Over here, we have the other displays and stuff that were kind of already in this area, but I did fix up this room. Still some more work to do. I want to put some more space stuff in here, but I ran out of the material to make the floor and the ceiling, so I kind of stopped. But we got the windows back, got most of the walls and floors in, and I powered all these little globes that are hanging down too. Haven't done much with the outside, like the farms and stuff. Some people go really, really wild with the museum, and I've gotten a lot of inspiration from those posts. So it's another like half-finished project, which I think I'm like realizing my legacy is just going to be person who plays games where you can decorate but only finishes half of it and calls it done. But there's only so much I can do before I get a little bored and want to move on, and that's what we're going to do now. We're headed to the next biome. Out of all the restoration projects I have, Sparkling Skylands is where I have easily spent the most amount of time. When I spawn in, I'm in this little Pokeball house that I put down just to kind of see what it looked like. It's not permanent. And what you're seeing right now is probably the area that I'm going to be working on next, because I left the trash building up that houses the transportation up there. That's all going to get renovated. But down here is where I really started to put some polish. I wanted to, again, rebuild this place into what I assumed its former glory was. So I put down these roads, and I kept with the yellow sidewalks and stuff, even though they're not my favorite. I got to fix this crosswalk still. And I just kind of cleaned it up. And I love coming here. I really do. I think it looks really nice, and there's a lot of opportunities to decorate that I haven't even like dove into yet, like more items I could put out. Tons of opportunity for that. I have some Pokemon living here just temporarily. Got that building up, and then I did these other prefab buildings as well. Just kind of gave them simple little yards and divided them with trees. And I also put Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee right here because they like to trade. And so oftentimes they'll be in the Pokemon Center or in the market. I wanted to keep a couple trading Pokemon nearby so I could come here and like quickly make trades if I wanted to. And then down here alongside the road, I fixed up the sidewalk a little bit, and I put a cave house here for Pokemon who like being in dark places. Didn't do too much with this yet, but yeah, just trying to find ways to kind of like make everybody happy who currently lives here. A lot of Pokemon probably gonna get moved around as I keep playing. Over on that side of the Skylands, though, is where I have put in the most amount of time. I would say my 200 hours is probably a lot of it like locked up over here. I spent tons of time in this spot, and I just love the way it's turned out and continues to turn out, because obviously not like fully done. I wouldn't actually finish something before doing a tour. That would be silly. So here we are. Now, this used to be a really tall, building made of beams and trash. And I decided that what if the Pokemon tore it down and started to recycle the materials it was made out of? So this is where I have another automation going that is also working really well. Pokemon that litter trash and Pokemon that process trash all live over here. And whenever I come here, I get a bunch of iron, and sometimes I get paper and things like that. They will just kind of be in here processing it all the time. So you can see in the bin here, they've been dropping waste paper and iron and everything else. Waste paper I found I do need to kind of like prompt them to work with, but I always know where to get more paper if I run out, so that's pretty nice. Come over here, and I built an elevator because I put even more work up top. And all these ugly butter buildings are just what I assume was supposed to be here all along. Just really nice, kind of ugly office buildings and intersections, street lights, things like that. Got to put more benches and stuff too, but you know, I am moving a lot of Pokemon in here. I'm focused on electric types. All of my electric types live in this area, and I've given them full-blown buildings, tried to kind of follow the template that I felt like was left for me by the developers who had some like decaying buildings here. The biggest thing I had to do is flatten this first. If you remember, this part kind of this is where the street was, but it went up and back down. And at first I was really intimidated by this area. Like, I will never finish this. But I started looking at it and realized that I think when the Skylands rose into the sky, the middle kind of got pushed up. And all I got to do is push it back down and everything will make sense. And it did. Everything flattened out really nice and everything made sense. It all clicked after that. So I have decorated these buildings, again, just to the degree in which it's going to satisfy the Pokemon who live there. And I've continued to just kind of move electric types in here as time has gone on. Once I collect more of them, I, move them in. So they have their little office building, and it's great because there's a lot of opportunities to put electronics and stuff and still make it look like an office. Someone's like fighting me for the elevator right now, and it's getting really frustrating because I can't use it. As we continue, I decided right here I would put a park, and this is a prefab park. You could just kind of plop this down, and I think it looks really, really, really nice. I think it's perfect for this area, and it's right across from more office buildings. This building's also pretty unique because on the roof, I have a bunch of birds living up there, but down here, it's still an office, and you'll notice I put these like boards on the ceiling, which looks really cool. This was because I wanted to put dirt down upstairs so that the birds could like have grass, and it made sense why grass was up there. It was on grass blocks. So I like it. It turned out well. I even, because I couldn't light it from the ceiling, I put these, again, very versatile lights on the walls. And I think it looks nice. There's a little conference room. And I can't take the elevator up there and show you, but I'll go back around and show you what it looks like up there. There's no great way up here at the moment, but I'm working on that. So it doesn't look like much, but we can put a whole bunch of habitats up here and have all these Pokemon live quite comfortably, I would say. It's nice and open air. And they're birds. They can just fly out. It's kind of like having an aviary, I guess, on an office building. The plan is to build a bridge between these two roofs, and that will give us like our way to get up here without turning into like Magnet Rise mode. This right here is an elevator hut. So this elevator will actually get you onto the roofs, and it is just in this building right here where I have some more electric types living. As you've probably noticed, the Pokemon gym here has not been touched yet. I think this is a really unique, cool building, and for the longest time, I was missing recipes. I finally have all the recipes I need to actually fully rebuild this, and that's on my list as well. So I'm just gonna turn this back into its, former self. And I like it. I like that it's mostly intact, and I think it's cool. I think it's like a really nice touch that we actually got like a Pokemon gym to play around with as part of the remnants of the former society that lived here. Other than that, the work I've done kind of extends to right up here where we rebuild this big building as part of the story, and I've repaired the roads around it, but not much else. It's kind of perfect for more parks and housing. So that's the idea as time goes on, to kind of like come up here, build some stuff, make it look even nicer. But just cleaning up the road alone really, really helped this area a lot. Not much else to see before moving on to the next biome. I did make this a farm building. I wanted another place to kind of like farm crops. I don't really use it, but the water actually starts right here, and then it goes down, and then you can actually literally go down because it just like flows through, and then it goes down here. And this was because this building originally had a water wheel right here. And that water wheel was kind of like part of it looked like it sprung a leak. It was just part of a structure that created this cool waterfall because there's this whole river down here. And when I started fixing this up, the waterfall went away, and I'm like, oh, I really liked it though. I like the waterfall, I like the river. So I decided this building should be something a little bit different. And so instead of offices, it's a little farm. I like it. Let's move on to the final biome and the one that I think is the most unique. Welcome to Stone's Throw. This is my Pallet Town area, and I have spent the most amount of time here, aside from the Skylands. They're probably competing. I think I did about 100 hours in the Skylands and 100 hours here, if we had to just divide it down the middle. Really, the story took up quite a bit of time, but still, this is my Pallet Town. And so if you were to walk in from the bridge, the first thing you see is the big Pokeball Plaza and my warehouse. That's where I live, and I'll show you that too. And recently, I just built that train station kind of as a way to, one, get a train station here, but two, kind of bring some of the stuff I did in my 30-day challenge into my single-player game. So I did the same design and layout, but this one's a bit different because it actually goes down into a tunnel, and it traverses like half of my Pallet Town area. It goes actually under the ocean and brings me to a city, and I'll show you that here in a bit. So this is like the main area right now. This is where I spend a lot of time, you know, dealing with my storage. And we have also my neighbors, a bunch of legendary Pokemon. I put the electric types in here, the fire types in here, and the ice types in here. This is where I've spent some time actually like trying to make these houses look really, really cool, because if you can make legendary Pokemon happy, your environment level will stay level 10 no matter what you do. You could take away everyone else's home, and seemingly they will just kind of like make it so it seems like everyone loves being here. So first up, the electric types. This place is pretty awesome. I really like it a lot. I decided to use a lot of gold, and no regrets. They have a little raised living room area up here, and they got some of their favorite items. And yeah, these two are very, very happy. And I mean, I would be too. Look at this place. For our fire types, I decided to split the room down the middle, and it's kind of cramped, honestly. This isn't my favorite room, but you know, they have the things they want, and that's all that really matters. As long as they're happy, I'm happy. And then our ice types. I did this one most recently, and threw some icicles in the ceiling. I think it's pretty cool. I threw the Pokemon Center like pillars in the corners too, because I just like them. And I think it just kind of adds to the vibe. But I struggled. This was a struggle, this room. This game really had something against you know, ice blocks and snow and cold stuff in general. So I'm really trying hard to kind of work with what they gave me, but I'm hoping if and when we get like a DLC, they address some of that, because I would love to redo this room in a way that makes more sense. So yeah, outside over here needs a bunch of work, but the interiors I'm pretty happy with. I'm considering them done. I don't want to show you the back behind my warehouse, because that's when the whole facade falls apart really bad, but I will show you that. I at least get to redeem myself a little bit more by showing you the warehouse itself though. So this was my solution to my storage issues. I wanted all my storage in one place, and that's what I did. So we have this wall here and this wall here. Over here is where I do all my cooking. This was lit before the video. I just kind of moved it around before I started recording, and it became not on fire anymore. And then to live in here, you might be thinking, well, this is way too big. You don't live here, right? Well, to live in here, I made a little side room. And I also have Smeargle living here too, because I've been building so much. I just needed them to be somewhere nearby. But yeah, this is my actual house that I gave myself. And, you know, I want to decorate it more too. But this was my solution to kind of living in a warehouse. Just give yourself like a little side room or something. Now, what I'm about to show you is a little embarrassing, but I'll show you why it looks like this. And I will show you that there's more cool stuff to see too, that this little detour is not indicative of the finished product that is my Pokopia world, okay? If we go through here, as you can see, things have kind of fallen apart a little bit. What happened? Well, I wanted to spawn in all the Pokemon. I wanted to catch them all, okay? And I got tired of trying to do that in each biome and stuff, so I decided to just start spamming their habitats back here. And I actually just came through and picked up some of the ones I wasn't using anymore. But I have more work to do. All of our fossil Pokemon are living over here at the moment, so I can just come back here and get stone, which is nice. Missing one more fossil type for that. And yeah, all these other habitats are kind of like the natural ones I just need to tear down. They're not in use, but most of them are in use. They're kind of acting as homes. But the reason is because I'm really close to finishing the Pokedex. I'm covering it up right now. But I'm at 293 Pokemon out of 300. And if I filter my habitat dex, as you can see, I just have this handful of habitats I need to discover. And then I'm still waiting on one Pokemon for this habitat, which I have a couple of, and then one more Tatsugiri. and I'll be done with those two. And I need to get the Despot fossil, and I'll get this Pokemon. At this rate, though, I'm probably just going to buy these other habitats because I just haven't found them yet, and I'm kind of tired of waiting. And you can just buy the habitat hints at the Pokemon Center, so I'm probably going to do that now that I have money with nothing to spend it on. But I'm almost there. I almost have all the Pokemon, which is pretty cool. So that is this area, and it's, again, is temporary. What I want to do back here behind my warehouse is put some farms. Like either a tree farm and or like a farm that produces crops and stuff, so I don't have to go to the Rocky Ridges every time. I would like this area to be more like self-sustaining. That's my plan for it in the long term. Let's take a train ride though. As you can see, I also put all the habitats here for Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno. That's the power plant on the beach. It's fine. I don't know. I don't love it. Over there is the Moltres pyramid, and then behind it, just on the other side, is the Articuno pyramid or area or whatever. And yeah, I like this one in particular because it's just so big and looming in the distance, overlooking everything I'm doing. And I wasn't really planning on using that island, so I like it. It looks pretty cool. We're gonna go to the city now though, and I can show you my train tunnel. Still kind of working on this for a couple of reasons. I need to finish the walls that go down. I got lazy. But I haven't figured out lighting yet. The lighting in this place is troubling because at first I actually had like standing lights in here. They were the mushroom lights, so I don't have to power them. And they look good for like an old school kind of train tunnel, but they weren't great. They look cluttered in here, so I got rid of them. And I tried glowing blocks because they have a glow to them. But at night, you wouldn't think so. They just don't emit light, it seems. Maybe I'm using the wrong ones. I don't know. I was hoping it was another power-free light source. Not the case. So I'm still thinking about the tunnel. It's a really dark, gloomy tunnel at night, and I don't like it. Anyway, here we are at the first train station I built in Pokopia. Room for decorations, but overall, I really, really like it. I like the way it turned out. A couple more vending machines wouldn't hurt, but I got some seats here so you can wait, and it looks really, really cool, especially from the outside. I like the design of it a lot. The only thing I might do differently in the future is kind of add to the roof. It's very flat, and I wanted to kind of pop up a part in the middle, so that might look kind of cool. But overall, yeah, we got a transit station. I'm also trying to decide if I want my transit station to encompass this as well, because I do use this quite a lot, especially for getting Pokemon to and from the two locations. So I thought maybe putting this inside the transit station would look cool, which is why I built it here. I haven't really gotten to it yet. I don't know. I just really like the way the building looks on its own, and I don't want to mess it up. So maybe a separate building. We'll see what happens. This area, I've spent a lot of time on, and I really like it. The city I built in my 30-day challenge, if you watch that, was very much inspired by this city. And it's smaller, but it's really cool. I still have an empty plot I got to fill right here. This is the mall. I wanted to make like a strip mall and like a modern looking one. I love the way it turned out. Love this building a lot. And it even has Pokemon living in it, and they're selling various things. So that's an arcade. This middle part is just supposed to be like a food court, but it's small. So I, did what I could with it. And then over here is a bookstore. And usually Blastoise is in here, but it looks like today he's not. He barely fits in the building. It's pretty funny. And then these houses are where all the kind of starters live. So the Squirtle line, all the Pikachus live in here. Then we have the Charmander, Charizard line, and then the Bulbasaur, Venusaur line in that house there. These houses aren't really decorated too much yet. I did a little bit to try and make them happy, but none of these houses are in their final form. Decorating these larger ones is just difficult. It's a lot of big empty space, and I've been very intimidated by it. But yeah, all of them kind of look like this. There's just not much to see, so I'm not going to go into every single one, but I'm working on it. I did try and like dye the stuff in here, and I use these beds and stuff like that because they're electric types and they like electric things. So beds that require electricity just made sense. When it comes to my Pallet Town area though, I'm trying to reserve it for the all-star Pokemon, the ones that everyone thinks of when they think Pokemon, and then some. There'll be some of my own personal favorites and stuff in here too, but that's the plan. So I have a couple more empty plots, and I have a lot of evolutions here. I have all of them now. So I need to start thinking about where they're going to live. And I'm probably going to make them little apartments or something. Either they're going to get smaller accommodations in these plots, or I'm going to take this big blank area right here and build like some kind of big apartment or something. Kind of like I did in the 30-day challenge, but it'll look different. And then for future plans, I'm also thinking that this mountain behind the town looks nice. It's cool. but I'm not going to do much with it, so why not kind of dig into it a little bit? So I'm thinking about doing something where I have this road kind of extend out, and I create like a shelf on this mountain, dig it out a little bit, and I throw some houses up there. You know, so dig into the cliff in a significant way, and then have houses kind of in the middle. Maybe they'd be like right here, but then there'll also be maybe some up top too, because I'm going to house a lot of Pokemon in Pallet Town. So I just like the idea of being able to take a picture of the city once I kind of finish it up. And you see that not only is it just this flat area with some buildings and stuff like that look cool, but in the background, you'd see houses and paths and lights. That just appeals to me. So that's a plan that I have for the future as well. Oh, and I can show you my infrastructure too. You're going to not like it. This is what I decided to do for power in the city. And it works. Listen, this works. But I found out later that you can only have so many power generating items. And had I known that, I would have done what I did in my 30-day challenge, which is put like just a few water wheels down here or something. It looks nice and it does power the city, but eventually, as I keep building here and need to power stuff, it will become like, it will hit capacity and I will regret it. But eventually I'm probably going to change this to look more similar to the 30-day challenge sewer that I did, which if you haven't seen it, you should probably go watch it because I keep referencing it, assuming you have. But so far, that is how I've spent my 200 plus hours in Pokopia. I've seen a lot of other videos pop up at 100 hours, 200 hours, and people's areas are so refined. But this is 200 hours if you're playing kind of casually and allowing yourself to kind of like bounce around between projects. So that's what I do. That's how I play. And I really, really like the way this turned out, but I'm going to continue working on it just on my own time, but also during streams and stuff like that. So I recommend checking that out. And if you haven't seen the 30-day challenge, I'm going to put it somewhere on screen so you can check that out too. Because if you want like a more focused version of my building antics, that's a bit closer, I would say. I was a little more disciplined in that. So enjoy, and yeah, I'll see you around.